since last March. You might know or might not know that we are all essential workers. So we have been here making sure that the water gets clean and safe. Water gets delivered to your houses, and you can wash your hands. 20 seconds, I think, is the rule to keep the COVID away. So I had a hard time picking what to share with you. So why I am calling it a sneak peek is the idea is if this group is interested in hearing more and going into details in any of those topics, I would love to share my staff to come and do those Monday webinars in any given topic that is of interest for you. So we are starting with the water supply conditions, then WaterSmart, then kind of go and do a little bit of engineering project related updates, then back to financials, and then kind of wrap it up with something, a topic that is relatively new and you might or might not know, but I'll kind of share a little bit more about it. For those of you who have windows, look out. What do you see? I'm thinking blue skies, right? Absolutely. It's not a good sign in March, and pretty much large part of February has been like that. So locally, we have received a little under 14 inches, and I know some of you have rain gauges and you see different numbers. It's not the inches that is so important, that the relative of how that compares with long-term averages. So where our rain gauge is at El Pueblo, we have been tracking it for about 40 years there, and it tends to be a little bit lower than closer to the hillsides. So we are at 33% as of yesterday. Long-term average at this time of the year should be 75. WY is water year. Water year starts October 1st. So we are October, November, December, January, February, 5 months into this water year, and the wettest months are actually behind us. So what makes it even worse is single dry year is not terribly bad. We know California is the precipitations are almost never average. They are a little bit over, a little bit under, a lot over, a lot under. What makes it bad is last year, water year 2020, we received only about half. Then 1 year before that, we had an average year. A year before that, also very close to half. So if you're looking at that trend, out of the last 4 years, 3 have been severely lower than average. That is a bad movement of things here. So just to put things in perspective, everybody remembers the big drought in California. I can't believe it's almost 10 years ago when it started. It was 4 years, 2012, 13, 14, 15. And those were the percentages in those 4 years that we received. So 48% was the lowest in 40 years. That's the lowest number I have seen and since we've tracked. So this year we are 33. We're gonna beat this 48 unless we get another about 10 inches. That's what we need to catch up with the cumulative 4 years that we had in the really bad drought everybody talks about. 10 inches is doable. How likely it is to happen, that is for all of us, we need a crystal ball and see if we are betting people, if we would think we will get there. Typically, March is about 6.5 inches, and typically April is 2.5. So if we get those typical numbers, we're going to get close to 50%, but it's to be seen. Regionally, we're not also seeing a very rosy picture. California major reservoirs, we don't get a drop of water from that, but just to put in perspective, I think we've heard a lot of snow being up in the Sierras. They have received some, but They're still about a little over half, and the major reservoirs at 51% capacity. Colorado River that feeds a more southern portion of the state, they're less than half full. So I think it's safe to say it's going to be another dry year. So the district is already starting to prepare for that. So if we cannot really do much on the supply side, we can certainly see how we can do better on the demand side. So one thing, this is a brand new ad, and it was in your bill inserts that went up last week. That went out last week. I think Facebook already pushed this out, and you're going to be seeing it a lot. So if any of you still have lawns, I would very strongly ask you to consider taking it out, because it's going to be an incredible ROI for you. So our regular rebate is $1 per square foot of lawn replaced. We are offering a $2 per square foot, and this is just for this spring. The hope is that people would find it very enticing and use it. So comes the high irrigation season, they already have drought-tolerant landscapes that use less water, and we collectively can start bringing our demand down. So if you use it yourself, let your neighbors know, let your friends know, anybody that still has turf to consider that. So this is right now, but the staff is working on taking our Think Twice water use efficiency program, and also maybe making some creative updates to that, something that would be a win-win for the district and for the customers. Our rebate program, we revise it every year. The same is going to happen this year. The turf is up. That was just one time because we wanted to get an early start, but the rest of the rebates, we will be looking at offering more value for our customers too. Reduce leaks. That's truly wasted water. And this is something that if we can have that to be 0%, that would be wonderful. That's not quite possible, but our average unaccounted for water is, depending on the season, between 7 and 10%. Any percent that we can save there is going to be water we save in our groundwater basin and can put to beneficial use. And how we do that, we have this magic tool. We have WaterSmart customer engagement portal, and we really want to leverage the benefits of that. We have been doing really great, but there's so much more we can do with that. So I'm gonna go to that, WaterSmart and iMeters. So if I'm gonna ask show of hands who has not heard those two words yet, I feel that for the last 2 years we've been this is our it's a wonderful tool. It is so exciting for staff to have this in our toolbox, and I hope that our customers are equally excited about us offering that to them for free. It is costing us and the ratepayers, but it is not we felt that we would not want to have this to be per fee services. So it is available to all of us, because last week we were 20 meters short to have the full system to be on iMeters. So it's really exciting. We have been doing it with our own in-house staff. That was something that our board decided 4 years ago when we stepped into this. We looked at the options of a contractor coming in and doing it quick, but we saved more money doing it phased, having our staff installing it, and I think it was good because we learned a lot along the way. So that's the hardware piece, the iMeters, that each of your meters now have wonderful intelligent brains that communicate and give us the data and make the data available for you, and that is the WaterSmart. So that's the software that keeps all of the data. The district sees all of it, and there is a lot because those meters, they read every 15-minute intervals. They transfer that data once a day. So it's not quite live data that you have available if you log into the portal. It's 24 hours old data, but it is amazing what that tells you about your own water use. And this is also another amazing number here, 30% registration rate. That's huge in the water world. When we get to double digits, we get excited about anything. Would it be AutoPay or any other portals that we have? Our customers taking the time and finding them useful. So 30% is huge, but that means we still have 70% to go. So that is one thing we will be pushing out more and more to get every person who has a computer or smartphone to know this site and become friends with this site. Because one thing is just to register, but there are so many features and benefits if you get to know it, and if you update your profile, and if you set your own. By default, it has a potential leak alert in it. We don't set it. That comes with the software, with the portal, that the portal thinks what it uses is 24-hour nonstop use, and it sends an alert to the person, to the account holder, notifying them of the potential leak. But there are other notifications that any customer who is signed up for that service, they can set that more fit their household need and their household water use. So we really want customers to learn about it and to use them. One thing that we are working at the moment is, because we cannot really go and sit down next to you and kind of share all of that, we are making instructional videos that will be available to everybody, because we know, kind of out of sight, out of mind. It's, people, if you don't know how to do something at home, what do? You Google, you go on YouTube, you have somebody reading and showing exactly step by step, and that refreshes your memory. So that was kind of the idea behind this. We want to do something similar to help people to really feel comfortable in that environment. But we would like to do small group study or virtual drop-in sessions. I think that was maybe a year ago now when Dave Hodge and I talked to you about if you could facilitate, or if the Senior Life Association could facilitate getting small groups together, and then maybe going more in depth, or maybe having drop-in sessions where people can just kind of get more personalized instructions. So that's something we are certainly interested in conducting. Okay, let's see where that takes us. Okay, let me see if I'm going to be successful with this. Maybe. Is that working?
Yes, it is.
Yep.
Okay, yes.
Brett, should there be sound?
So this I just have to brag about my staff. It was such a fun project we did with Miller Maxfield, those videos, and all of the actors were our own staff. So some got to be only hand models, some got to be actually getting the faces on the screen, some got to be behind the scenes and lend their voice. So we have 4 of them, and this was one of them we did last year. So I'm going to pivot now, and I'm going to go and talk about some of the engineering projects. Actually, I'm just going to talk about one because if you're interested in hearing more, I think I'd love to bring Dave McNair and do a special session just on this. But this has been a long time coming. I want to say I wasn't here. This was before I started at Scotts Valley Water District. There was a study and drink test done, and I think Council Member Lind was one of them who actually tested the water, and people ranked it. So because we pump, you all know that our water supply is local. It's groundwater. It comes from very, very deep in the north end of town. We pump from 1,500 feet depths, and the water picks up the mineral qualities, the taste of that, and it's perfectly fine to drink. It's high quality, but people can tell when water comes from those deep layers. So it is not a easy or cheap solution to fix it, but we've heard from our customers that that is one of the things they particularly don't like about our water, the taste and odor. So this project is gonna fix it. So this treatment facility is our largest. It's getting to be 30 years old now. It was first put to use in 1993. And it can produce 1 million gallons a day of water. So what we're doing there, we're installing a new technology, granulated activated carbon is the GAC filters, and they improve the taste and odor of that water. We are replacing an old infrastructure, a 40,000 gallon tank. This is a picture there. This is a new tank coming in now. It's a welded steel tank. And odor scrubber is going to be a brand new piece, and modifying a lot of existing piping, electrical control, and chemical systems. And all that is supposed to be done. So we started in Thanksgiving. It was end of November when this project truly got underway, and then we are anticipating this being done by May 1st. And then it all comes at a price tag of $3.5 million. And $3.5 million, it's a lot of money. It's not a large project for some bigger agencies. For us, our annual operating budget is about $6 million. So that is a lot of money for us, and it's all funded through water rates. So we have been putting aside every year, collecting a little bit more from ratepayers than we need for operating expenses, putting that in the reserve fund, and this project is going to be funded from those rates.
So, you turn mine off.
Okay, so the next thing I had was water rate study, and
I'm not going to be heard, right?
Did our last cost of service and rate study in 2016. It's almost 5 years since we started. It was spring of 2016 when we started, and the rates were adopted in December of that year, 2016. It was a 5-year rate schedule, and that means that the last set of rates went into effect in December of 2020. So just to be prepared for the future, to really know where we are, financially, what is our financial condition, and how is that, are we prepared for the future? We have started a 2021 rate study. So it's underway. We are using the same consultant who we used in 2016. It's like this week, I'm supposed to be seeing the first draft of financial plans from them. It's for staff to review, and then it's going to go to our committee finance committee, and then after that to the board. And we do want to make sure that we communicate what we are seeing to the customers, and there's going to be community engagement and involvement. Again, it has to be different than it was 5 years ago, because we did open houses then. We did road shows. We went to people where they congregated, and were informing them of what's in the study and what the rates are going to be looking at. So that is most likely not the format we can do this year, but we're going to get creative, and we're going to make sure, if you want to know, that we'll give you opportunities to learn and provide you input. The chart here, it might be hard for you to see, but those are 5 large public water utilities in Santa Cruz County. So we have Soquel Creek, city of, well, let's start from south. We have city of Watsonville, we have Soquel Creek, we have city of Santa Cruz, and then San Lorenzo Valley Water District and Scotts Valley Water District up here in the North County. 2 of them, both cities have 2 sets of rates. City of Santa Cruz has inside and outside city rates, and then city of Watsonville also has inside and outside. So that's why you see 7 lines on this. And those are the different rates. We all have different, slightly different structures where the tiers are, how much is, what's the proportionate share of the basic service charge. And but what that really tells you is, with exception of the 2 light blue lines in the bottom, those are Watsonville. Watsonville is, as you're using more water, a little bit cheaper. And the top one that shoots up in the sky is Soquel Creek Water District. If you start using more than certain amount, their second tier is very, very steep. But the rest of us, we're right there together. So 2 vertical lines, median household, average household, and we're kind of all there packed together. Scotts Valley is the red line. So we are mindful of that. But it is expensive, and it's not the operating side of the house that is really determining the rates for the future. We are all past middle age, we being, well, the people are too, but I am referring to the agencies. Scotts Valley is, let me think now, 60. We're going to turn 60 years old as a water district. And by and large, all of us are somewhere between that and 100 years old. We have aging infrastructure, and unless we get on it and fix or upgrade or repair it now, it is going to get only more expensive in the future. So it is the what's kind of is on all of our minds. But regardless, we are trying to run our business efficiently and do it at the lowest possible cost to our ratepayers. And that leads me to this hot topic of the month, potential consolidation. So my board, you saw at the beginning, George had a slide with our mission, vision, and values. And what is very important to us, to the board of Scotts Valley Water District, and to staff and me personally, is to provide a very high-level service at the lowest possible cost. And those are 2 opposite things, and kind of hitting the sweet spot is not easy. I think we have been doing a good job, but my brain is always going after what else can I do. I owe that. I personally feel this is my job to look under every rock and consider every potential opportunity. What could be a saving, future saving to our customers. So that's how the concept of consolidation came up, because we are, that kind of common sense that the smaller a company is, or agency is, an organization is, the relatively more expensive it is to run it. Boutique restaurants are, if you go and order food from there, they are more expensive than big chain restaurants because certain expenses are just, there's not much savings there. There's no economies of scale. There is no a best possible way of using your resources efficiently. So we have a lot in common with our neighbor here, San Lorenzo Valley Water District, and we share supply. We have shared, we have had several collaborative activities in the recent history here. And so in my mind, that was a question that I asked the district manager of San Lorenzo. Does he think it would be a good idea to study the consolidation of those two water districts? So it's LAFCO is the agency that puts the structure around any public local agency that considers changing their boundaries. Consolidation, they have different definitions. Consolidation is essentially where both parties would exist to be a new and brand new public agency gets created. So it's not what is potentially on the table for boards to consider is not one agency annexing the other one. It's truly a partnership of the equals. And the boards, both boards have not decided if there is merit to even studying it. So they're truly, we're very much at the beginning. But the only way that the boards can discuss it in a public sector environment setting is they have to put it on their public regular meeting schedule. So that's what happened at the beginning of February for both agencies. And if both boards decide to proceed with this idea, then the next step is a feasibility study that truly is going to now quantify are the benefits there that I feel that should be there, and what are the minuses, what are the downsides, and kind of put them all very much in one report that anybody can provide input and see and be part of it. The only way that this consolidation would ever happen, it has to be a win-win. It has to have substantial benefits for customers of both districts, so that it needs to be that needs to be studied and evaluated in the report. I already mentioned LAFCO. LAFCO, it is kind of, they are the agency that governs those type of matters. And the best case scenario, what I understand from LAFCO, who has done many of those, not water necessarily. There has been some annexations in Santa Cruz County, but fire districts, that is more recent. The most recent is Central and Aptos fire districts in Santa Cruz County, and that it's the best case takes 2 years. I think those two fire districts, it was closer to 3 or 4 from the inception of the idea to when now formally there's a new agency. And there's going to be multiple opportunities for public engagement and feedback. LAFCO requires it. We want it. We want to hear. We want to very critically look at both and see if the community is interested in trade-offs of such offering if we get to that point. And I believe that is the end of my presentation. So I didn't pause, I didn't let you to ask questions in between, but I'm happy to go back to any of those slides. or any of those topics and answer your questions.
Piret, Santa Rosa Valley is having a public meeting to talk about the potential merger.
Yes, it is this
What's the date of that?
It's this week on Thursday. On March 4th is they have this item agendized. The meeting starts at 6:30. It is virtual meeting, as all of us are having virtual meetings, since their board will hopefully give staff some direction on how they think they want the staff to proceed.
So if anybody on this call wants to attend that meeting virtually, they can do so. It's a public meeting, right?
It's a public meeting. It's posted on their website. It's SVWD.com is their website.
Okay, thank you. Oh, anybody that would like to ask a question, be sure to unmute yourself.
Yeah, can you hear me? This is Maxine. I have a question.
Sure, yeah.
Yep.
Okay. You know, with the drought conditions this year, does the Water District plan on having the recycled water booth at the Sky Park area?
That is something that we need to consider if that makes sense. When we did it last time, it is a wonderful, wonderful opportunity to use our water more efficiently, but the total number of gallons that was actually distributed through that fill station was relatively low, so it didn't really make a dent. So we would have to consider that if it's worth it. But that is one of the tools in our toolbox.
Yeah, thank you. My husband was the water dispenser a couple of years ago, and he really enjoyed it.
Yeah. No, we enjoyed it too. It was just a lot of work, and people realized how much work it is to actually deliver the 300 gallons from point A to point B. It was not an easy defeat.
Okay, thank you.
Brett, I have a question. This is Jack.
Yeah.
Relative to the potential consolidation, you mentioned that most of the water districts are 60 to 100 years old, or their infrastructure. And do you have any relative sense of what I'll call the quality of the infrastructure in the Scotts Valley District versus the quality of the infrastructure in the San Lorenzo Valley Water District? And I assume that'll become known, but I'm just curious if there's an awareness of the overall condition at this time.
Yeah, I think it's fair to say that we are in significantly better condition. And that's for two reasons. They are older, and topographically, it's a much more challenging system for them, and they are more spread out and mountainy. So we are especially in the last 7 years, we've been working very hard to upgrade our system, and it is, I think, it's a fair assessment to say.
Thanks.
Would that include the Loch Lomond? Oh, excuse me. I was just wondering if that would include the Loch Lomond area that suffered so much damage?
Yes. San Lorenzo's watershed and those areas that were burnt, those are not all of them, but they do have large areas that were damaged.
Piret, on Orchard Run, this is Jack again.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I'm happy to see that happening. And I know in our house, we have lots of calcium. So you mentioned the water will taste a lot better and it's dealing with the minerals, but will that help the calcium issue that we have at our house?
The hardness of the water, I don't believe so. And that's just
Okay.
a hard one. And I think that's something that if this group wants to hear more about the operations and engineering, Dave can explain that. It's why we recommend that people put water softeners the houses. We have gotten questions, well, why don't you do it at your treatment plant? Fix it for all of us. And it's a really sensitive, delicate balance between considering the water and how corrosive it is if you take everything out, and what needs to be there in order to ensure that when it travels in the pipes, that it does not damage the pipes, and it still gets to the tap and has the quality that we are required to keep. So it's not possible really for us to do the water softening at our plant and then still make sure that the water is in a good drinkable quality at the houses.
Thanks. My last question, I've been hearing and reading about potential security issues for water supplies across the country. Is that something that you're thinking about? Or obviously we can't do everything, but are there any security measures that the district is thinking about that you'd want to talk about? Or?
We looked into that right after we heard what happened in Florida, and we are staying on top of it. Our IT consultant, we use a third party who has make sure our system is secure. They looked into that, and they have very strict guidelines and security procedures for us. It is a little bit harder, and this is good that we're a groundwater agency. It's easier to penetrate surface water supplies and sources, but this was more of that company or that water company in Florida used an outdated, well, for one, they used an older Microsoft Office that we no longer use, but the other one, it was also partially convenience and the staff error that they're signing their password strengths, how they accessed the systems. They did not have controls. So we are doing another round of making sure we have all controls in place. And we also, EPA has, it's a mandated, it's a requirement that all certain size water districts have to do is by June 30th of this year, we have to conduct the risk and resilience assessment, and it has the physical as well as cyber and more of a software side we'll be looking into. So constant, that's constant.
Okay, great, thank you.
Great question. Anybody else out there?
I did have a question. You had mentioned something about small groups and how Scotts Valley Senior Life might host something like that. And I was just curious, I didn't really catch everything that you were looking for there or how we might be involved.
Well, there's a couple of things. One thing I'd like to know, and I'm not going to probably do some sort of polling of specifically this group, but I know you have a great distribution list, and maybe we can work offline to see if any of those, for example, WaterSmart, we could do one webinar just on WaterSmart. And, Leanne would be there and somebody from our customer service. So something that is more narrow topic. So that's one option if you wanted to facilitate that. The other option is if you have just 5 people together, and this doesn't have to be necessarily as widely advertised. It's just for those 5 or 10 people who want to know how to use WaterSmart better. We can set aside time. We can do it via Zoom and just kind of they can come with their own, maybe with their own devices, what they're using, and maybe we can troubleshoot or help them to get to be more comfortable with that.
That's a great idea. We'll work with you to get that set up.
And of course, when we're allowed to come and be there in person, love to do that too. It's just very different to, have another screen and have another screen what they're staring at. So if we can get past that, and absolutely, it's going to be a multi-year effort here.
The Piret, this is Frank Kurtai. I was wondering if you might be able to answer some questions about the drought that we appear to be in again. If we don't get enough water this year and next, is there a game plan in place? The aquifer won't be replenished, right? So are you going to have to go deeper to get the water, or what's the game plan?
Yeah, great question, Frank. Fortunately, groundwater agencies are, again, in a better shape than surface water agencies, especially in Santa Cruz County. Santa Cruz has, Loch Lomond is the only storage, and it has about 3 years worth of supply. And so for them, every year that is drier than average, they kind of go like, what's the next year going to be like? And they truly can run out of water. With us, as much as we would hate to see drawing down our groundwater levels that we have started to build up slowly, there is plenty of water in our basin. It's very prolific. So we can get through 3-year, 4-year, 5-year. If it becomes a 10-year drought, it's probably now to the point that maybe even existing wells are not sufficient. We need to drill deeper wells. So hopefully we don't get there. And that's what the Santa Margarita Groundwater Agency is really focused on, to come up with a plan for this basin, how to recharge the basin if we cannot rely on rainfall. So one of the potential supplies is recycled water, that we have excess here in Scotts Valley, and regionally there is excess that nobody's using. It just gets discharged into the ocean. So long game would be come up with supplemental supply that is drought proof. Short game, I think we have still quite a bit of room to be more efficient. We are about indoors, we are around 50-55 gallons per person per day, Santa Cruz, and it's not indoor separately. They are under 40. So there is certainly room for all of us to replace the devices and appliances, but also look critically how we use our behaviors, how we use water.
Okay, thank you, Piret.
That was an easy question.
Hi,
you ask hard ones, Frank, typically. Hi, there was another question.
You mentioned the groundwater district. What is the timing for coming up with a plan that we can all see?
Mm-hmm. We have maybe about 4 board meetings left. I think the goal, we want to have the draft groundwater sustainability report plan, GSP, out hitting the streets is end of July, beginning of August is what we're targeting, and kind of have maybe 60-day public comment period, and then bring the comments back, consider them, and have the final draft to go to Department of Water Resources later this fall. But you should be able to view the plan mid to late summer.
Okay, thank you. I think there was somebody else who was trying to ask a question, and I talked over them.
Yeah, this is Ben Lopes. I'm not on video, but a question about secondary uses of water for landscaping. Is there any infrastructure currently or planned just for landscaping water?
Well, we do have the purple pipe recycled water here in Scotts Valley. We do use or mandate all new developments that are close by to the existing main recycled water mains. So those are either Scotts Valley Drive, Mount Herman Road, and we cross over to the east side of Highway 17 in the north end. So those Grove and Polo Ranch, they both will be tapping into the recycled water. We are permitted, we cannot we cannot deliver that to single family residences. That's in our permit. And I think the main reason why is it's quite complicated. There has to be somebody who is designated as a site supervisor. Every 3 years, that person gets to come and do another little, we do like a day-long refresher. They have to go through that. They have to be certified. And the backflow devices itself, that's quite expensive for people, because once you introduce recycled water to any parcel, your potable system needs a backflow device, and backflow devices have to be tested yearly. So there's a cost to that too. So it's not as simple as one would think to make it available to all, unfortunately.
Thank you. And a second part to that question, when it comes to development in the community, what role does the water district play?
We provide water to them.
Do you have any conditioning powers? Or
we do. That's, I'm going to just start with a disclaimer that in the state of California, the state owns all of the waters. As much as people like to think about that, we have control over the water supply. The state allows the public agencies to use it. The state allows private individuals to use it, to put it to beneficial use, but we do not own the waters. So we do have a system, we have a process. There's a will serve letter at the beginning and then service application. But we are not really allowed by the state to look at the, you are one person too many, or it's 10 gallons or 100 gallons too many. So we're gonna say no to you. What we are really looking in at the will serve letter is, where are you located? Are you in our service area? Well, one. Second is how close or how far you might be from our main, and then what needs to be done to bring the main to you, and what purpose you're going to be using the water for. So those are the three things we're looking at when we issue well serve. It's not the quantity of supply. And then service application, main extension agreements, we have a lot of conditions there, and we do work with those are larger developments, typically with all kinds of conditions, terms and conditions. But again, the supply piece of telling them no, because we just might have a dry period coming up, that's not something we can do. There is a clause that water districts, public water agencies can have moratoriums. It's very temporary, and the state requires then, if we establish that there is a period that we are not issuing new service connections, the state wants to know how long you're going to do that and what's the fix, how you're going to fix this. So it's very limited conditions when we can say no. But that's actually, I do have, let me see, I'm going to go really quickly here. This one, recent 5-year period. So over the last 5 years, this is the amount of new connections that we have issued, and this is the amount of new demand that has come out of it. So as you can see, the first one is the big one that gets a lot of comments and opinions from our community. Is we added about a little under 2% of demand. So it's not even in the same scale when we're talking about drought, it's 50% we're missing. And this is just, yeah, there's a little bit, but this is offset by existing customers who become more efficient. So we have not seen, and I have another chart, I'll go there. So this is, those are the numbers. And then we have, as you can see, so we added 1.75. So we added about 3-4% of total. And the total potable demand for those 5 years was essentially flat. We actually went down. So it hasn't really materialized that the new development is causing a whole lot of increase in demand. And this lower block here, the current activity, those are the applications that we have approved. So we do have as much more even in the pipeline here, but what we are estimating, it's going to increase our potable demand by 6%. And just to put things in perspective, I talked about the WaterSmart. We have not had a full year of everybody on WaterSmart yet, but even the partial year, we get leak adjustment requests, and the amount of gallons 1 year prior, not the last year, was how many people requested leak adjustment credits, was 7 million gallons. This is not all of the leaks. This is only the people that were really bad leaks and they wanted to get some relief. 7 million gallons was lost. And that dropped to 3.5 million gallons with the WaterSmart. So we saved 3.5 million gallons that just went and got lost. So, and you're looking at this, and this just adds 6%. The beautiful piece of this new developments, why we embrace it and why we really like, why I personally like it as a water manager, is it when my finance manager hat done. We're going to get about 6 million in capacity fee. That's a big, big number for us. And this is just one-time fee, but all of those new connections, the 200 here and the 127 there, they're going to start paying basic service charge. Even if they don't use a gallon of water, they're going to start paying basic service charge every month. And that's another tool we have to keep the rates for all of our customers a little bit lower, because we have invited in those new services. But this is where we are kind of here. The red line is 2020. And those are the months. This is how much we fluctuate. We're a little under 1 million gallons per day in winter, and we're a little over 1 million gallons per day. But as you can see, you know, we are just low there. And 2011, and those are not even the high years. Our highest were in 90s and 2000s. But this is still, you know, we're not increasing. So I think it depends how you look at that. We do have a role, but we do not have a role to decide if there should be new development or how much of that. That is not under our purview. That's land use agencies, county and city. So that was a very long answer.
Oh, it was a good answer. I appreciate it. Thank you.
For everybody, for those that are interested, I put in the chat section the link for the March 4th meeting at Santa Rosa Valley Water District. So you can copy that if you want, and I'll give you a way to attend that meeting online. Do we have any more questions? Piret, this is a fascinating topic, and obviously extremely important to the city of Scotts Valley and all our residents. We worry all the time about, do we have enough water? So glad to hear that we have plenty of water.
Well, we do if the climate didn't behave the way it does these days. So that's the biggest concern for water managers, is the uncertainty of the climate in climate change in the future.
And I see our friend Jack Dillis is on the line, from the city council, and of course it's the city's fault if there's any growth. Isn't that right, Jack?
Fault? It's a matter of balancing all the needs of the community, and certainly we're keenly aware of yeah. And anyway, the city does have responsibility. Certainly, we need some new housing. Question is, what's the right amount? And we're very, we have representative. I'm the representative for the city on the Santa Margarita Groundwater Agency, so we're part of that discussion about this plan that you asked about coming to fruition later this year, and how we get there, how we make sure we have enough water for the future. And as Piret pointed out, climate change is a big, has to be a big part of that equation that we're looking at.
And I truly encourage anybody who has any questions here's my information. It's my email, my direct line in the office, and our website has a lot of information. But instead of sometimes I see and I hear a lot of misleading facts or opinions or statements, and especially in social media. And maybe before you take it for as a truth or for granted, call us. Call either me personally, email me personally. I'm typically I should be able to get back to you within 24 hours. Our front desk people are very, very informed themselves, and if they don't have the answer, they will find the answer for you. So check with us. If it's anything to do with water in the community, I'd encourage you to check with us because we want to be the trusted source of information for you.
Okay. And a little later on, we'll be announcing then a special session which will address how individual users can reduce their costs and what free services are available from the Water District to help you control your water usage. And so
you see more of us. You see more of us.
Yeah. So as soon as we have that information together, we'll be sure to let you know.
And by the way, our board meetings now, since we're all virtual, and if you have nothing better to do with your time on every second Thursday at 6 o'clock, I think that's maybe something good that came out of the pandemic, is that we are more accessible in a way. And we plan on continuing, even if we're allowed to get back in the boardroom here. We're going to continue having a virtual link, and you can kind of put us on the background when you're having dinner, and at least be informed and know what's going on.
Very good. Okay, George, have we forgotten anything we should talk about before we close the session?
I don't think so, but we do want to let everybody know we are recording this meeting, and we will feature it on our YouTube channel. And we also have a Facebook page that we encourage everybody to sign up, and we'll post a link there also. And also, I was thinking, Piret, that we could also include links to the videos that you've done. So that would be fun. That'd be a new way to get the word out.
Yeah, I'd love that.
So,
let's take that offline to make sure that if you can share some of our great information, and love to take you up on that.
yes, we'll run it by the board and see what they say. So yes, thank you very much, Piret. That was fascinating, and as always, just full of great information. Anytime
when you need anybody to talk about local water, I'm your gal.
Okay.
All right.
Wonderful. Okay.
Thank you all.
Thank you, Piret, again. Our next meeting will be on the 15th, 4 o'clock, Monday afternoon, March the 15th. I hope to see you then.
Yeah, and I'm excited about it. It's going to be high school students. Our Scotts Valley High School students are going to give a presentation. Intergenerational online media exploration. And so if you're not aware, young people now get all of their entertainment on the internet and don't even watch cable. So you can find out where they're getting information, what they're watching, and it's going to be really fun. So hope to see you then.
Okay. Thank you all for attending. Hope to see you in 2 weeks.